Welcome back to the Making International Law in Korea video series. In this video, I'll be explaining about legal status of Dokdo, whether it is island or rock. Dokdo, in Japanese term Takeshima, is an island in the East Sea of Japan. The distance between the Ulleungdo and Dokdo, an inhabited island of Korea, is 87.4 kilometers, while the distance between Dokdo and Oki Island of Japan is 157.5 kilometers. Dokdo consists of two main islands, Dongdo and Seodo, and 89 islets. The entire area of Dokdo reaches 187,554 square meters. The area of Dongdo, its island alone, is 73,297 square meters, while Seodo, West Island, is 88,740 square meters. The height of Dokdo reaches 98.6 meters for Dongdo and 168.5 meters for Seodo. On Dokdo, situated on the southeast, there are several facilities, including a police platoon station and a lighthouse. On Seodo, on the northwest, there is one house for civilian residents. It is not clear whether Dokdo satisfies the conditions set by the Article 121.3 of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea to enjoy its own exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. The Article 121.3 provides that rocks which cannot sustain human habitation or economic life of their own shall have no exclusive economic zone or continental shelf. It is true that the sustainability of human habitation or economic life of their own of the clause is not clear-cut concept and can be interpreted and applied differently in concrete circumstances. However, the Permanent Court of Arbitration on the South China Sea Arbitration, in its award on July 12, 2016, interpreted this clause very narrowly. For example, the court found in paragraph 490 of the awards that, at a minimum, the sustained human habitation would require that a feature be able to support, maintain, and provide food, drink, and shelter to some humans to enable them to reside there permanently or habitually over an extended period of time. And regarding the praise economic life of its own, it viewed that the distance fishermen exploiting the territorial sea surrounding a small rock and making no use of the feature itself, however, would not suffice to give the feature an economic life of its own. Therefore, from the perspective of a word, it would be difficult to consider Dokdo as an island having its own EEZ and continental shelf. Although the both Korean and Japanese government did not officially confirm their position on the legal status of Dokdo, it is generally presumed that they claim Dokdo as an island that has an EEZ and continental shelf. In this regard, it seems that the position of the Japanese government is clearer than Korean government in 2 points. The first, the Japanese government regards even much smaller islands such as Okinodori in the Pacific as an island, and that has its own EEZ and continental shelf. Secondly, the Japanese government claimed the median line should be drawn between Dokdo and Ulleungdo for the maritime boundary delimitation between the two states in the East Sea. Meanwhile, it is said that the Korean government changed its position on Dokdo from rock to island in 2006 when the Japanese government tried to conduct hydrographic survey on waters nearby Dokdo. This event caused a serious diplomatic conflict between the two states and resulted in Korea's declaration of optional exceptions to the compulsory jurisdiction of courts, and in accordance with the Article 298 of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. According to 1998 fisheries agreement between Korea and Japan, Dokdo is situated in intermediary zone and so-called the provisional measure zone in Japan, in which a state does not have jurisdiction over people and vessels of the other state. Because, however, the agreement only applied to the exclusive economic zone, and the land and territory of Dokdo does not relevant to this agreement. Let me touch upon the effective control in international law in Dokdo. It is traditionally recognized in international law that effective control is one of the two conditions for establishing territorial sovereignty over a state's occupation of the terra nullius. The being animus the occupancy, an intention, and the will to act as a sovereign, as confirmed is in the East Greenland case by the Permanent Court of Justice. Occupation is one of the modes to acquire territorial sovereignty. In order to establish an effective control, the several conditions must be satisfied. More than anything else, the sufficient exercise of state power of the claimed territory should be proved throughout the time period and with continuous and peaceful exercise of the power of the territory. With regard to this, the degree of nation's effective control cannot be judged uniformly, but differs from case to case. In the case of Dokdo, it seems that effective control is somewhat differently used from its original concept. Although the concept was originally elaborated as an element for occupation over terra nullius, it is used for Dokdo to show which state has a superior control or power over the island than the other, regardless of the occupation of terra nullius discussion. In this respect, it would be better to discuss which state has strong evidence for title of sovereignty over Dokdo, because both Korea and Japan do not base their sovereignty over Dokdo on the occupation of the terra nullius, but inherent territory doctrine. At any rate, the key in Dokdo issue between Korea and Japan will be who has superior evidences on title of sovereignty over Dokdo in history. Thus, the fact that the Korea has been effectively and exclusively controlling over Dokdo since 1952, when San Francisco Peace Treaty allowed powers in Japan entered into force, is not much relevant to the territorial sovereignty issue. Although the evidence has not yet been found that show the direct exercise of sovereignty of Dokdo by the end of the 19th century, both Korea and Japan maintained their territorial sovereignty based on various historical records. Based on these records, the argument including the following. The first, many official records and maps of Korea from 16th to 19th century to show that Korea recognized Dokdo as an annexed island of Ulleungdo. Thus, both islands had the same fate. The second, in Anyeongbok incident in the late 17th century, the Japanese government recognized that Ulleungdo and Dokdo belonging to Korea. And third, in the 19th century, as evidenced in many Japanese historical records, the Japanese government recognized that Dokdo is a Korean territory, or at least not relevant as territory. The fourth, in 1900, the Empire of Korea issued Imperial Order No. 41 that included Dokdo in the regional administrative system of Ulleungdo region. The Dokdo literally means rock island, and Dokdo contain the same meaning in terms of a dialect of the region. On the other hand, the Japanese government bases its argument of territorial sovereignty over Dokdo on granting the right of passage to Ulleungdo by Baku, the central government in 17th century. Baku granted its fishermen the right of passage to Ulleungdo for fishing and lumbering on the island. They used Dokdo as an anchorage for ships on their way to Ulleungdo and fishing. The right of passage to Ulleungdo can be understood as kind of government permission for its people to go overseas beyond its boundary, because Ulleungdo at the time was clearly recognized as Korean territory. Although Japanese government claimed that Japan has recognized existence of Dokdo and effectively controlled it through activities of fishermen, the island was not mentioned in the relevant government documents. The strongest basis of the Japanese arguments are the cabinet decision in 1905 to incorporate Dokdo into its territory law, and notice of the Shimane Prefecture in accordance with the instruction of the cabinet. The Japanese government considered that Dokdo had not belonged to other states and consequently was terra nullius. Although the Japanese government maintained that the 1905 measure reconfirmed and reaffirmed its existence sovereignty over Dokdo, it seems contradictory between two doctrines of inheritance, the territory, and occupation of terra nullius.